right, hello. My name is Asha, and I lead product for the AI platform, and this session is all about the Azure AI Foundry, so thank you for joining us. This morning you heard from Satya and Scott around how AI is reshaping the world and how it is changing every enterprise around the world. So this session, we're going to show you how that's actually happening and how to put it into practice. A great example of this that we'll start out with is BMW. BMW is reinventing every future generation of cars with AI, and not just one model, but multiple models, and not just with AI, but the entire Azure stack. So let's take a look.
BMWs are built with quality and reliability that people trust.
Our engineers integrate every car with cutting-edge digital features to help keep drivers safe on the road, while delivering world-class performance. Testing of all functions plays an important role.
In the past, we used hard drives in our development cars to store test data. Developers had to wait at least a day to get fresh data for analysis. We built a mobile data recorder that's integrated into the car's digital nervous system. This IoT device transmits data in real time.
For our time series analytics, Azure Data Explorer was the only way to go.
Now, engineers can chat with the interface using natural language through Azure OpenAI Service. The MDR Copilot's front-end and back-end are managed by Azure Kubernetes Service. Azure Database for Postgres stores Copilot conversations and feedback. Azure is the turbocharger for delivering the right data to the right person on a large scale.
Data analysis went from days to minutes, with speeding time to market even as the number of features increases dramatically.
MDR, powered by Microsoft Azure, ensures BMW reliability and quality long before the cars hit the road.
So BMW is just one example of this. Today, more than 60,000 customers are turning to Azure AI to help them go from prototyping to production. But the impact we're seeing is starting to get much more real. So for example, McKesson in the video that Scott showed earlier today is processing 70% more untouched data to improve cancer patient outcomes. Air India automates 97% of customer queries across 4 million requests, allowing agents to spend more time on the things that they care about most. But it's not just customers that we're seeing grow. It's the actual usage of the services too. So for example, we've seen a 10x increase in the monthly active builders on our portal. We're seeing Azure OpenAI consumption double over the last 6 months. And every single day, we're now seeing more than 2 billion enterprise search queries every single day. But to meet this moment, there's been this explosion of tools and complexity across the ecosystem. We count more than 70,000 tools across governance, code, cloud, and customers don't exactly know what to do. In addition, they're trying to figure out what is the platform that's going to help them meet that need. And so we've been working over the last year to figure out how to help all of you with that challenge. There's a lot of things that are changing in the landscape, though, as this is happening. So first, research from Andreessen is showing that customers aren't just using one model anymore. Most of them, on average, are using at least 3 models for their application. And at the same time, agent intelligence is approaching human-level intelligence. Yet, where we are today is that 80% of early POCs fail due to the complexity of actually integrating it. But it's not just the stack that's hard. It's the actual applications themselves. The applications that we're all building are starting to change because of the capabilities that these models have. And so we believe that models will go from single models, or applications will go from single models to multiple models, from simple POCs and applications to these agent applications, and pointed time ROI to apps that learn over time and evolve with the customers. And so to help this, we introduced earlier this morning Azure AI Foundry, a unified platform. We can clap about that. A unified platform to design, customize, and manage these transformational applications.
It's about you and them and them. Every developer, the builders, the implementers, the groundbreakers, The power of AI is yours. So select models confidently, test them, compare them, and find your best fit. Activate diverse data from any source, in any form, and turn it into reliable intelligence. Customize models with retrieval and fine-tuning to deliver performance that stands out. Safeguard every layer with trustworthy AI from the start and protect against new risks. Design personalized experiences without boundaries, always learning and adapting. Innovation prompts more innovation. It doesn't stop. It only gets better. You're creating the future, and Azure is here for all of it. Keep iterating, keep scaling. Be unstoppable.
I'm going to count on the front row to bring the energy of this. So the future that we see is simple. We believe every application is going to become an agentic application. And to achieve this, we're trying to bring together a robust set of features and tools and services for you. From a comprehensive model catalog to advanced customization services, enterprise-grade observability, and reliability at scale. But a platform is only as powerful as its ecosystem, and we've taken a lot of lessons from the web app server days. So we're building a platform that's modular and that's open, and that's why I'm excited to announce that the Foundry will allow you to bring your own tools, data, and models while seamlessly integrating with enterprise workflows to meet you where you are. I'm grateful and excited to have Accenture, Gretel, KPMG, Scale, Statsig, and Weights and Biases as our first launch partners for this. Now, before I dive deeper, I want to actually show you the Foundry in action. And so we've built an application that we'll go through, and Marco's going to show us how to build it. So Marco, why don't you welcome up here? Marco is our VP of Foundry Futures.
All right, so now, for those of you who don't know this, before Asha joined Microsoft, she was the COO of a little company called Instacart. And so Seth Juarez, my colleague Seth Juarez, and I decided to build her a little e-commerce application, an online shopping app for the holidays. This is a multi-modal, multimodal agentic app powered by Azure AI Foundry. Why don't you show it on the screen here?
Toso, take me shopping.
Back. How can I help?
It's the holidays. I need to get an epic gift for my son.
Handing you over to the gaming concierge for Xbox devices. They'll help you find the perfect gift.
This is perfect. My son loves to game.
That's awesome. Which one caught your eye?
Take me to the black one.
Here's the Black Series X with a disk drive, front and center.
Actually, I see a sparkly one. I think he might like that better.
Here's the Galaxy Black Special Edition Series X with a disk drive, front and center.
This is definitely the one.
Great choice. Do you want to add an extra controller?
Definitely. I'm going to game with him.
Awesome choice. Let's customize that extra controller for you.
So what exactly can I customize here?
You can change the colors of the ABXY buttons, body, bumpers, D-pad.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. I just want to get going a little bit here, but I have the picture. Let's go with Seahawks theme. Blue on the base, green for the buttons.
Change the body to blue and the ABXY buttons to green for a Seahawks theme.
That looks super slick. Let's do white for the trackpad.
Change the D-pad to white.
Awesome. His name is Grady. Can I personalize this?
Add an engraving with the name Grady.
I love this. Let's check out.
Your checkout information is ready for review. The shopping assistant will take it from here.
Was the gaming concierge helpful? I'm here to help you check out. Please review your cart. I'm ready whenever you want.
Awesome. This all looks great, but my address is a locker here, and I'd really like it to come to my office.
Changing the shipping address to your work address.
This is perfect. Let's check out.
Congratulations on your purchase.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Asha. Enjoy the holidays and happy gaming with Brady.
Thank you.
So we built that with 4 building blocks: models, data, agents, and trust. Well, in a minute, I'm going to show you how we did it.
So let's unpack each of those. So let's start with models. It all starts with our most strategic and important relationship with OpenAI. We know that our customers value being first to market, and so over the last 6 months, we've been working really hard to simultaneously bring every single OpenAI model to Azure OpenAI at the same exact time, the same exact day. But we haven't stopped there. We have a set of commitments that go much further. So for example, we offer access in 28 regions. We have data zones in the US and EU. We've introduced 99% SLA for latency, 99.9% uptime promises. We offer off-peak capacity at 50% off. Customers can self-serve, and we have content safety on by default. Outside of that, as customers start to use multiple models, we want to make sure that we're there for them. And so we've been building up our model catalog. It started with 1,600 models earlier this year, and now we have over 1,800 models available. And these are open source models, frontier models, and task-based models. And today, we're introducing a new set of models. The first is a Japanese to English model by NTT Data. The second is from Bria AI, which is a vision model. And the third is a set of industry models across healthcare, manufacturing, and financial services. So Mars is a leading veterinary health company. I think most of us know them as a candy company, but they've been working with us for quite some time. And they've developed a product called Rapid Read, and this is using a Mistral model. And this model allows them to process and save time when they're analyzing x-rays so they can actually improve pet outcomes. Let's take a look.
At Mars, we believe that pets make the world a better place. Our science and diagnostic product development is dedicated to ensuring we can provide the very best for the pets we love.
There's a shortage of veterinary-trained radiologists in the industry. So to save more lives, veterinarians need access to the right tools for faster, high-quality results with more meaningful insights. We built Rapid Read to combat that global shortage. Azure AI allows us to leverage a wide range of pre-built models such as Mistral, and that helps us restructure data and enhance our accuracy. The Azure ML platform and Azure Kubernetes significantly speeds up large-scale model training, including vision language models. This has allowed us to run incredibly large X-ray models. We believe the largest in the veterinary industry.
Clinics are now getting results in minutes, not hours or days. The significance of that can't be understated.
When a pet is sick or injured, every second counts. As a pet owner myself, it's about minimizing worry and for them to get the best possible care when they need it.
Over the last 12 months, Rapid Read has potentially saved hundreds of pets in life-threatening situations. That is a great metric by which we can measure our success.
All right, let's go live here. Let's talk about the new Azure AI Model Inference Service. Now, to kind of break it down a little bit, let's take a look at, now you saw that video with Asha in it, and I'm going to just show a piece of it and how we built it. This is the carousel. Let's just try it out. Hey, you there?
Hey, yep, I'm here. How can I help you today?
Hey, cool. Actually,
looking for a new Xbox?
Can I get one of those black ones?
Sure thing. Take a closer look at the black Xbox consoles.
All right, good enough, good enough. So, how did that do that? How did that actually work? Well, there are actually 2 models at play here. The one that was talking there, that's GPT-4o real-time preview. So that's the new real-time model. You can talk to it. It's interruptible. It speaks every language I've tried. I've got it to speak everything from Swahili to Italian to German, obviously English. So it's really good at that. But there is another model that is controlling this carousel that's actually rotating the stuff around and rotating to the right thing. So when I asked for the black Xbox, that's how it knew to get there. Now, when Seth and I built this thing, well, we kind of had to figure out which model we wanted to use for that. Now, the real-time model was the obvious choice for the speech because there really is nothing else on the market that's like that. But for the carousel model, now, we had to make a decision. So we went to the GitHub Marketplace. Now, we have thousands of models available in the Azure AI Foundry, and many of them are also exposed to developers right here in GitHub. And so here in GitHub, you know, I could go over here, and our first inclination, of course, was GPT-4o Mini. And right in here, you can try it out. You don't have to pay anything for this, right? You could just go ahead and type something right in here. But there is also, it's a little bit subtle here, but there is this compare button over here. Now, this new model just came out from Mistral just the other day called Ministral. You may have heard my voice advertising it in the Scott Guthrie video, but check this out. Ministral is super small at 3 billion parameters and super fast. So now I can tell them both, tell me about the Xbox, and it's going to go. Now look at that Ministral model go. It zips right along. So I can kind of compare these to each other side by side on the screen. And so it's true. That Ministral model is super quick. But in this case, we decided to use the GPT-4o Mini model because of its function calling capability. We wanted that function calling to be reliable, to happen every time. So we stuck with GPT-4o Mini. But it's great to be able to do this kind of comparison. Now, in the background, we are using the Azure AI Model Inference API. And that is now documented here. You can get to this document. This is on GitHub. But the Model Inference API basically abstracts your connection to all of these models, because there is like a new model every day, every week, every month. There's another new model. And so the idea of the Inference API is that you can call this one API, and it will allow you to connect to a whole plethora of models. So you can change the models underneath the scenes and do that kind of experimentation without having to change your underlying code. And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Marco. So models are necessary, but we're learning that they're not sufficient. Meeting ROI goals often require model customization. And so this starts with your data and includes things like RAG, but now more contemporary approaches like fine-tuning and distillation. So let's take a look at these. Starting with RAG, last year we helped the world think beyond vector to deliver the right experiences for every user and for every interaction. And now we're going beyond retrieval, and we're introducing something called query rewriting, now available in preview. This is optimizing for what information the retrieval system receives by transforming and augmenting a query. And we do this with a simple small language model. Now, the power of this small language model is profound, and we're starting to see that in nearly every single benchmark where we're looking at relevance, and we're seeing that the query engine is actually outperforming simple RAG. In addition, Azure AI Search is also coming to GitHub later this year. So directly from the playground that you just saw from Marco, you'll be able to simply upload your data. It's just a drag and drop, and a free tier of Azure AI Search Index will automatically be provisioned. And once you're ready to build, you just copy and paste the code snippet directly into your environment, and then you can try out more advanced retrieval mechanisms directly from Azure AI Search. Now, for faster and more specialized turns, we're starting to see a lot more people turn to fine-tuning. And with Foundry, you can fine-tune models from Azure OpenAI Service, from Phi, Meta, Mistral, and more. And as part of this, I'm excited to announce the most anticipated release we've had of the Azure OpenAI Service in a while, which is the fine-tuning vision and distillation evaluation service, which will be available in provision and global deployment starting this week. So let's take a look at how we use fine-tuned models to build the shopping application.
All right, let's do this. So we're going live, and now we're in the Azure AI Foundry. And I am going to kick off a fine-tune job. Now, before I get into it, you know, we're talking about RAG and fine-tuning, and RAG grounds your model's data. Fine-tuning is not a replacement for RAG. Fine-tuning does not reliably add information to the model. It tunes the model. It tunes the model to kind of talk about the kinds of things that you want to talk about, want it to talk about, and not talk about what you don't want it to talk about, as you're going to see in just a minute. So I'm going to kick off this fine-tuning job over here. So let's see. Come on, load that up. This is a live demo, by the way, so we're doing this for real. And I will give it a suffix. Now, you'll notice, by the way, that we just announced today this new weights and biases integration. And weights and biases can help you evaluate your fine-tune. So it's really good at that. I'm not going to do that right now, but in any case. All right, now, you got to give your fine-tune job some data. I'm going to give it this Xbox fine-tune data. And so you give it some fine-tuning data to train on, and you give it some validation data to test on. So I have some validation data in here also. There it is. What does this data look like, actually? What does it look like? Well, it's remarkably simple. Fine-tuning data is just a bunch of examples. You just give the model a bunch of examples of here's what somebody says to you, and here's the kind of thing that you should say back. Now, in this case, because we're building like an Xbox e-commerce kind of a thing here, you know, if somebody mentions something about a PlayStation, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that lifestyle, but, you know, we wanted to talk about an Xbox. So here I have an example. What are the system specifications of a PlayStation 5? And what I want my assistant to do is pivot it back to Xbox. So I wanted to say, you know what? Let's talk about Xbox. Let's keep it in the Xbox zone over here. Right? So this is what the actual data looks like. This is literally the data that I made this fine-tune with over here. And you just give it a whole bunch of examples like this, both for the fine-tune training and for the validation. You give it a similar data set to test with so that it will try those things and compare it. When you run this job, and this job can take, depending on how much data you give it, it can take a few minutes or a few hours, you will get a graph that looks like this. So what is this graph saying? Well, this graph is basically saying the error rate. And so, like, how many times was I talking about a PlayStation and it came back talking about a PlayStation? And over time, as it trained, it got better and better over here. And this is also measuring token accuracy. So you want your accuracy to go up and your error to go down. This is what a good fine-tune should look like. So you keep seeing this little chart on all these slides that we got. This is what it really is telling you how that error decreases. Now, Asha also mentioned there's something else going on here that we just released today. So this is a fine-tune, but there's also this notion of distillation. So we're going to do some distilling here right now. We're not distilling whiskey, we're distilling models. So now distillation, what it really is, distillation is really just a special case of fine-tuning. So distillation is a type of fine-tuning, and in this case, I'm going to make a distillation for sentiment analysis. So it's a kind of a classification problem that we have here. And what a distillation does is you have a larger teacher model. We call it a teacher model. Now in this case, my teacher model is GPT-4o, the latest 0806 GPT-4o. And I'm going to use this, I'm going to distill it to fine-tune a GPT-4o mini model because I wanted to do this narrow task. All I wanted to do is do the sentiment analysis and nothing else. Now, so this data here is fine-tuning data, except that rather than me submitting it like I did with my Xbox data a second ago, it was created by this larger model. But when I press this distill button over here, look what it kicks off. It's a fine-tune. It's the same thing. It's a fine-tune. Now, the only major difference between these two things is that when I get the metrics back from this kind of a fine-tune, there are some other metrics that I can use, like this one over here, semantic similarity. And so what this is measuring is the similarity between the output of the little fine-tuned model and the big teacher model, because I want them to be as close as possible, because I'm training this little model on that very narrow task. And so with distillation, you can basically make it faster or more cost-effective to use little models to do these kinds of well-defined tasks. And with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Are we clapping for Marco? I feel. Thank you, Marco. So, as applications evolve from these static systems to these dynamic learning systems, the challenge is clear. How do we actually start to connect knowledge and foundation models and actions all into a unified framework? That's exactly what our agent service is going to be doing. So we'll announce this later this fall, or we'll release this later this year, and we're going to give organizations the tools to create robust, adaptive applications that deliver intelligence at scale, and not in months or weeks, but in hours. And this includes more than 1,000 enterprise actions thanks to the power of Azure Logic Apps, and it supports data and privacy compliance features like bringing your own VNets. Now, agents are powerful because they can reason and act on data, but they're only as good as the data that they're built on. And so that's why I'm really excited about Content Understanding. This is a new service that's also announced today that's going to be transforming unstructured to structured data across all modalities to create actionable intelligence for agentic applications and common application workflows. Now let's see how we are using agents to build our shopping app.
Let's make an agent. All right, here we go. So we're back in the Azure AI Foundry, and now we're in the new Agents Playground. As Asha said, this is going to be released in just a little while, but it's already pretty functional here, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Now I'm going to build, before I get to this, first of all, later today, BRK 102, I'm pretty sure it's at 4:30 p.m., we have a whole session on agents that we're going to do straight up agents, single agents, multi-agents. I'm going to make it do all kinds of crazy stuff. So if you really want to see the agent stuff, come on back for BRK 102. Tomorrow, BRK 111 will be Content Understanding. So Vinod Kurpad and I are going to be doing some fun stuff with that. But let's go ahead and build our Xbox Commerce agent. So what is an agent? I mean, we keep talking about agents. What is an agent? An agent is a framework that sits above one or more models that allows you to do complex, long-running tasks and that can take action on your behalf. That is the one-sentence definition of what an agent is. Now, here, I have this agent. I started to create this agent in my beautiful new GPT-4o US data zone, because we have these data zones now. And the agent, the way that it works, you don't exactly program an agent. You give an agent powers, and it figures out how to do the task with the powers that you've given it. Now, in the new Azure AI Foundry agent service, you're going to find there are all kinds of powers that are in here that were not here before. So I can connect this to Azure AI Search. I can get analytical data from Fabric. I can connect it to Files, SharePoint, TripAdvisor even. But in this case, I think I'm going to ground it to Bing Search. So I'm just going to connect that to my Bing Research so it can do a Bing search. And now, I'm going to just say, hey, the customer works at Microsoft. So this is, earlier when Asha was saying, hey, I want to ship it to my work address. Maybe we don't have to ask her. If we already know she works at Microsoft, let's do a Bing search over here. And it's going to do that. There it goes. It's doing a Bing search. And there we go. One Microsoft way. So it's giving me the result back. Now, what I'm not going to do here, but I certainly will do later on at BRK 102, is, the real power of these agents is their ability to take action. It's one thing to be able to do search and, that glorified search thing going on, but adding actions, taking actions on your behalf is where it's at. And so here, with Azure AI Foundry, it can call any API that's compliant with the Open API spec. It can call a custom function. It can call Azure Logic Apps, and we will certainly have fun with that later on today, or Azure Functions. So there's all kinds of ways that you can integrate these to third-party systems, as in the video that we made there, where we actually integrated it into the shipping system to actually place the order and ship the thing. So that's all I have with agents right now, but later on, we're going to have a really good time with this.
Thanks, Marco. So as we empower organizations and developers to build these applications, we're thinking a lot about how we do this with trust in mind. And AI-powered trust helps you build these systems that are safe, secure, and private by default. Trust is not optional. It's the foundation of every system that we build going forward. And to achieve this, it requires more than principles. We believe that it demands action. So we've thought about this by bringing together commitments like the Secure Future Initiative, as well as our principles, and pairing them with robust product capabilities. This approach has enabled us to help customers confidently build AI systems that meet the highest standards of accountability. Let's take a look.
We all need AI we can trust. AI that is secure, private, and safe, and is backed by commitments and capabilities. With our Secure Future initiative, security is a priority above all else. And our capabilities help you discover security risks, protect your AI applications and sensitive data, and stay ahead of regulations. We believe in your right to privacy, So whether you're using Copilot, Copilot plus PC, or building your own applications with Azure AI, we value, protect, and defend your privacy. And our capabilities, like Azure's confidential computing, help keep your data private at every stage. Safety is the cornerstone of fair and unbiased AI. Informed by our AI principles, our guardrails for generative AI help mitigate risks like hallucinations, so you can spot and correct them in real time. And our evaluation capabilities help you assess generative AI outputs for quality and safety. Microsoft Trustworthy AI. Unlocking human potential starts with trust.
So talking about capabilities, last year we announced Azure AI Content Safety to detect offensive or inappropriate content quickly. And so content safety, you can think about this as providing built-in guardrails for models that are on by default and helping organizations build applications that are safe and trustworthy. With that, I'm excited to announce 3 new capabilities to help you keep your applications trustworthy, but also to improve the ROI of the applications that you build. So first, we're announcing risk and safety evaluations for image content. This expands on the existing text-based evaluations that the Foundry actually has used over the last year, and it contains a set of interactions so you can detect images as part of the input or the output. The second is I'm excited to announce model experimentation. So for the first time, organizations in production can actually experiment across multiple models without rewriting their entire application to optimize for the outcomes and the value that they are looking for. And finally, the Management Center. This brings together essential subscription information such as connected resources, quota usage, directly into the Foundry portal. With Management Center, IT admins can now enable simplified self-serve setup to scale and maintain enterprise-ready security and compliance. With that, we will do our final demo to show you how we ensured our application was trustworthy. Marco.
All right. And I'm back. All right. So let's try a little something here. I'm going to say something that's maybe just mildly violent here. Hey, you there?
Yep, I'm here. How can I help
Hey,
your
you know what I
Xbox
really
shopping
want
today?
is a battle axe.
That sounds cool, but let's get back to finding you the perfect
All
Xbox
right.
console.
Good pivot, right? No, I didn't even fine tune it on battle axes and stuff like that. But trustworthy AI is actually a cocktail of approaches. There's a cocktail of approaches that you have to take to ensure that your AI behaves responsibly, the way that you want it to behave. And part of that is evaluation. So Asha was talking about these new risk and safety evaluations that we can do. Evaluation, you can look at it, for those of you who are traditional developers, you can look at it as like unit tests for AI. But unlike traditional unit tests, there's not exactly a pass-fail. Like it either works or it doesn't. We have these evaluators. If we look closely, we have these new evaluators here that we've just added. And so it can basically evaluate the output of your model to screen for violent content, sexual content, harmful content, abusive content, all of those kinds of things. So we have these evaluators now built into the system to be able to screen for these kinds of risk factors so that when you run a bulk evaluation, you can use these things to ensure that it's trustworthy. And every time you change the model, every time you change the prompt, you should rerun your eval to ensure that it's still trustworthy. But that's kind of what you do in bulk. Now, there's the notion of what happens in real time. Like just now, if I gave that thing a violent utterance, how do we ensure that it doesn't go off the rails when you're using it? Well, here we have content safety. So this is the Azure AI content safety system that is built into Azure OpenAI and a whole bunch of our other models as well, like Llama and Mistral. And it has these filters. And again, these filters run in real time. These are real-time classifiers. So the default ones are violence, hate, sexual, and self-harm. And you can set these things. Let's see if I can zoom this out a little bit. There we go. So you can kind of set the levels of these things that you allow. So I might set this differently. So, and by the way, you could set them differently on input and output as well. So on the way into the model, let's say that I was making an AI to take in workplace incidents, then I might actually set the violence threshold high because people might be describing violent things or whatever. But I most certainly don't want my model to respond violently. And so I would keep the output filter low, for example. But these are the default features. Now, there's a couple more down here that Asha mentioned on the slide. What's this about? What are these prompt shields? Well, a jailbreak. A jailbreak is a new type of hack that targets a large language model. It's a specially crafted prompt that causes that large language model to go off the rails. And you know, we at Microsoft, we have lots of public-facing sites between Bing, MS Designer, GitHub Copilot. People are trying to jailbreak us all the time. They're trying to hack us all the time. So we have these prompt shields, and that basically detect a jailbreak, catch them, and stop them before they even get to the model. Now, there are actually two different types of jailbreak attacks. The first one is a direct jailbreak attack. That's where I'm the hacker and I'm typing in something to muck with the model straight up. That's a direct jailbreak attack. That's the first one here. The second one, an indirect attack, is a little bit more insidious. And so that's where the hacker doesn't actually type into the prompt. So here, instead, they inject their jailbreak into a grounding document. You know, you ground your model to some data, to some documents, and they inject it into that. And so some innocuous user is using your AI system, and suddenly it goes crazy because somebody's injected an indirect attack. But we can block that also with a prompt shield. On output, we also have violence, hate, sexual, and self-harm, and we can screen for protected material as well. Because these are generative models, they can output the lyrics to a Taylor Swift song, for example, which are surely copyrighted by Taylor Swift. And you may not want that in your AI, and so you can basically cause this to block that type of output. So blocking protected material. And now, by the way, although it's not shown on the screen here, we also have custom categories in here. So one of the custom categories that people are often putting on output is brand identity. You know, so if I'm Microsoft, I might not want my AI to start talking about one of my competitors. So I can basically make a filter to screen on output for, you know, you're talking about one of these competitors, don't say that. Let's try that again. So that's content safety, and this is all part of a trustworthy AI system. Back to you.
Thank you, Marco. It's been an incredible 6 months on this journey towards building this, and I just want to end by saying thank you to everybody in this room. I think I've met with more than 100 customers as we started to build in this direction. And sorry, someone's talking to us behind the stage. But I've talked to more than 100 customers as we went on this journey. And I would say that if it weren't for all of you telling us about your challenges, allowing us to look under the covers of what you need and building those tools to help you, we wouldn't be here today. So I just want to end on another customer story, one that inspires us and helped us as we built the Foundry. So thank you so much. Enjoy Ignite.
The NBA is focused on its fans, and we're constantly exploring new ways to elevate their experience. One of the ways is deepening understanding and appreciation.
The latest technology enables us to analyze player performance, game strategy, and team dynamics.
Basically, you kind of ingest all the live information of what's going on in the games, also pull in a lot of historical context to provide more meaningful insights when fans are following the action on the NBA app.
It really enhances the fan experience no matter how they choose to watch the games, whether they're watching live or they've missed the game.
At the heart of NBA Insights is Microsoft Azure OpenAI service, which uses GPT models to process immense amounts of data just very quickly. So fans can now receive detailed information about their favorite players, teams, all in real time.
By harnessing Azure's computational power, Insights can offer users detailed analysis for every aspect of the game. We truly believe NBA Insights on the NBA app is the future of basketball fandom, delivering a more personalized and engaging experience.